quick lore recap. Yesterday was, I believe, New York Comic Con, and AMC revealed a bunch of news. Lots of news. At first, I think people were thinking that it's going to be like exclusive and we'll have to wait until the finale of Daryl Dixon. But no, they just dropped everything. So let's read through this. I haven't read this. And then we'll watch, 36 seconds long. We'll watch this as well. There's a teaser for Rick and Michonne, which is like, let's be honest, what we really care about, you know? Like, let's be real. The Walking Dead fans rejoice. The Mothership show may have ended last year after a whopping 11 seasons, which, by the way, I think this is something that will hurt The Walking Dead IP in the long run. There are too many seasons. This is something I've been thinking about a lot, especially with what's going on with Attack on Titan, right? Final season, part 3, part 2, part 1, part 4, final chapter, part 14, you know? I think that is to disguise how many seasons there are. I think people are scared of getting into long shows nowadays, so you need to disguise how many seasons you have. That's just my headcanon, though. Because too many shows are doing this for it to be a coincidence. A lot of shows are doing parts now. Not seasons, parts. To me, that seems sus. Anyway, but the beloved zombie franchise will continue to live through on through a slate of new spin-off shows. The extended Walking Dead universe has already had instant success this year thanks to Dead City and Daryl Dixon, but there's one more on the way, and the next show is perhaps the most exciting of all. It is, absolutely. That's right, prepare for the return of Rick Grimes and Michonne in The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. I still don't like these titles. Dead City is kind of cool. Daryl Dixon is the worst title anyone has ever come up with, and you will never convince me that it's not SEO. You will never convince me that the reason why the show is called The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon is for it not to have the word Daryl and the words The Walking Dead in it. You will never convince me that's not what it is. At only 36 seconds long, the teaser doesn't give us many story details. That's very much under wraps at the moment. Well, I mean, it is a 6-episode season, right? So it should be... I think they should hide stuff. However, it does give us a look at a blood-stained Rick Grimes, I mean that's the norm for him, who appears to be back up and fighting again following his incident on the bridge in his final moments of the main Walking Dead show back in Season 9. And then we've got Michonne, who's looking as badass as ever, clad in reddish armor. Watch it for yourself. Alright, let's watch it. That's Rick.
I tried to get away. Please know I tried. But I failed.
Don't get me wrong. Jesus Christ, why are there so many pop-ups? Don't get me wrong. Michonne, badass as usual, but man, do I think this armor looks goofy. I think this armor looks goofy.
Just know. I love you.
Okay, so February. So we got that right. Okay. I saw like 3 for this right here. Look, this. This is how Michonne should look. It's just, oh, but it's still the same armor. Never mind, she's just wearing like a coat over top. This is how I expect my survival series to look like. This looks like a anime character. I don't dig it. I don't dig it. This looks like survival, and I'm all here for it. The vibe feels dark, and I like that. This shot is cool. Right here. I like that. Let me go through this. We saw Rick. So this is something we've seen before. We've seen this shot right here. He's wearing some sort of leather thing, it looks like. This looks leather, right? Damn, does he look badass, though. Oh, the red flash looks like a Diablo 4 rogue skin. You nailed it. That's exactly what it looks like. This is actually a Diablo 4 skin. Exactly. Damn, Andrew Lincoln is still just the absolute badass of the century. Alright, let's look at this. Oh my god, it's Area 51. Oh my god. They've confirmed it. It's a space spore brought by aliens. So Rick is at Area 51. I guess he's storming Area 51. He's a bit late to the party, but it is what it is. Okay, and he's fighting a burning zombie. Okay. Okay. Did we get anything else in here? I don't think we did. So we've seen this before. There's another burning zombie. So they're basically just giving us character shots and that's it. I like the vibe. The booming motif in the background, that has that OG Walking Dead vibe. And I'm all here for it. What's that dangling on his arm? That's not his watch, right? Also, why is it bent? Oh, I think I know what this is. I think his hand is broken. Oh my god. I think I just figured what's going on here. They should have named this The Living Dead. Anything but I just don't like the subtitle of The Ones Who Live. I don't. It implies like you know, like we're the chosen ones. I just don't like it on a fundamental level. But this right here, his hand seems to be broken and there is something dangling on his wrist, which looks like a chain, handcuffs maybe? And clearly he's broken off, and clearly he's fleeing. And these floodlights, I think, are searching for him. Has my guy pulled a Merle? Because there's another shot involving his hand and this hatchet, I presume. I'm not into Walking Dead where this will be placed timeline-wise after the main show, some spin-off. It is after the entire main show, yes. If you want to watch Walking Dead or experience Walking Dead, read the comic book. So basically, what we're learning, Rick, mega chat. Years later, he's still saying, I tried and I failed. That's what we want in The Walking Dead. Daryl is in Paris for 3 weeks, and he's already considering staying. Okay, let's keep reading the article. I tried to get away, please know I tried. Let me put on Spotify again. Presumably about being trapped in the CRM. I tried, but I failed. Just know I love you. Okay. Of course, in the series finale of The Walking Dead, we saw some brief footage, which, by the way, they can technically, like, fit all of this in so that, you know how all of us assumed that, like, Daryl leaves and everyone leaves, poor Judith and RJ? Technically, we don't know the timeline of any of those events. And you know, just now, I guess I didn't actually talk about that, but just now in the Daryl show, he got a call from Carol, right? Which I think makes, like, no sense whatsoever, but okay, let's just roll with the idea. And someone's back. Everyone's thinking it's Rick. I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think it's like, it's gotta be something different. It's gotta be like Dog or something. No shot it's Rick. Like, no. But whatever the case, we don't really know the timeline on any of this. So technically, like the flash forward thingy we saw in the finale, or actually the alternate ending, technically that we didn't see, could imply that Rick is already back. Right? So we don't actually know the timeline, like a concrete timeline between Dead City, Daryl Dixon, and this. So a lot of this is still up in the air. The ending of the series in the comics was underwhelming. I don't think it was underwhelming. I think the problem was that there was the story of The Walking Dead, right? The ending, let's be honest, each and every one of us knew exactly what the ending would be like. People predicted it years ago. Problem is, instead of going like this, there was this bit missing where I think Kirkman was kind of like, you know what? I just want to end it. And so we didn't get this bit at the end, and we just jumped to the end. I think the ending was fine, especially now that I look back at it. I think the ending is perfectly fine. The problem is just like, there is no lead up to the ending. We just skip past all of that. And I sort of think Commonwealth as a whole is already that. Because instead of us rebuilding the world from zero, Commonwealth is kind of a, like already a flash forward, if you will. Like we go from our communities just establishing themselves to suddenly 50,000 people. But the ending as a whole, like purely the ending, I think is good. No problems with the ending. I think it's beautiful. It's sad and it's beautiful. Regardless, we do have some casting news. Firstly, as suspected, so this is Jadis, or Anne, I guess, reprising her role. Newcomers including, oh yeah, I know this guy from Lost. This is great. Leslie Ann Brandt as Pearl Thorne, and Matt Jeffries as Nat. Moreover, AMC also confirmed that, so yeah, this is February. Okay. Continuing the trend of year-round Walking Dead content, which, by the way, we're not complaining. I don't think this is a good thing. I think this is the literal definition of oversaturation of a market. I don't think this is a good thing. I think there's enough entertainment as is. Continuing to roll The Walking Dead around all the time, I don't know. Though, to be fair, I have no idea how many people are actually watching all the shows. So who knows? Anyway. And yeah, and this is about Daryl, right? So this is where we got a goofy title. So Melissa McBride Carroll is returning to Daryl Dixon. So quick lore recap about Daryl Dixon. Originally, Carol was supposed to be in the Daryl Dixon show. Then, like midway through season 11, we suddenly heard that she is dropping out, which automatically confirmed that she survives the show. It was just a spoiler, because that's what AMC does. They spoil their own shows. Now we cut to years later, and she's apparently back. We'll see how that works, because, you know, like, how does she get there? Who knows? Who knows? She's apparently there as well. It was disappointing for fans, but understandable following the many years she'd spent working on the main show. Yeah, so this is what I just said, right? So she dropped out of the show. And now she's back. We've known this for quite a while. She'll also serve as an executive producer alongside Norman Reedus, which is fine, I guess. I've known there was so much more to be told of Carol's story, as I felt her so unsettled when we last saw her, as she watched her best friend Daryl right away, McBride said. Apart, or hopefully together, their stories run deep, and I'm so excited to continue Carol's journey here. Which, by the way, I would not be surprised if there are some shenanigans here. She's back in the story, but she's not actually there. Something like that. We'll see what happens with this. Because, like, how the hell is she going to get to Daryl? Clearly, I'm not the only one thinking that it must be kind of wacky, right? This team of storytellers have done amazing work to land these two established characters in an entirely new world to them, and I'm loving the discoveries. Rather than sensibly renaming the series The Walking Dead Daryl and Carol, AMC has opted for a much weirder title. I'm glad that this is also pointing it out, with the new season now called The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon The Book of Carol. Seems a bit long-winded, right? So this is apparently, it's not actually called that, but the subtitle for season 2 is still The Book of Carol. And frankly, with a lot of these things, it doesn't even really matter what it actually is, because people are already calling it Daryl Dixon, The Book of Carol, you know? So it's already caught on, and people have already accepted it as the title. So we're going to have a very goofy title. Also, I tweeted this out this morning, because I saw it. This is why I said that Attack on Titan is officially dethroned as the wackiest title. Because to me, this is even wackier. This is a YouTube title. You have The Walking Dead in the title of the video, right? You have Daryl Dixon in the title of the video. You have book, in case you're talking about the comic books. And you also have Carol in the title. And you also have this weirdly clickbaity thing, The Book of Carol. This is a YouTube title. It's goofy. I like it. Terry was a dope character in Lost, but for me, it is a show that should have been called years long. I mean, you know what the story of Lost is? Lost. I think I've told the story before. I was farming for Vial of the Sands. It's a very rare recipe in World of Warcraft. It's a very, very rare recipe. And I was farming for it. I think this must have been like... Because I didn't watch Lost when it came out. I binged the entire thing when it was actually like already complete. So I was farming for this recipe. I watched the entire show while farming this single recipe. And I gotta say, at a certain point, doing the same thing in World of Warcraft became more fun than the show itself. I am not a fan of Lost at all. Lost is like, they made one season, then they got a second season, and now they had to make a second season. And after the second season, they realized, oh my god, we're gonna have to make another season. And they kept doing this until we got to the final season, and, you know, none of it really makes sense. Because the first seasons are really good. I really, really like the first seasons. I think it was like midway through that I was starting to realize that this is more nonsensical than it is abstract and interesting. Because when we first started to touch on a lot of the mysteries in Lost, I was like, oh my god, this is right up my alley. I need to figure things out. There are multiple things going on at the same time. There are these completely random things which you, like, by normal logic, you can't explain what's going on in Lost, and I like that. But then we kept going and going and going, and I was like, this isn't a mystery anymore? Now you're just making stuff up. And that's when I was like, okay, the story is lost. They always know how to start a series, but they can never end it well. Yeah, I think it was like, I think they just had no idea that it's gonna go on so long. And I think it's the same thing with the 100, by the way. I'm gonna spoil the show because no one cares. Okay, if you care, close your ears for 30 seconds. The 100 starts as a super brutal survival series, which was actually kinda cool. It ends with humanity ascending in a different solar system. How? How does that happen? Where is that break point where we just go like I don't even have a comparison. It was dope up until season 4, and then the writer's strike went downhill so much after that. I've been meaning to look into the writer's strike because I know the big writer's strike that happened back then. There's the meme of like every single show suddenly becoming like complete garbage for a year, right? And I've been meaning to recap the lore on that, considering we still have the strike going on now. But there's so much of it that I'm kind of like afraid of poking that. There's a lot of lore there, and I don't think I can reasonably explain it. there's more news. So Scott Gimple basically has confirmed that it's exactly what we've all been thinking. They want to merge all the shows into their own MCU, which, by the way, I think the MCU is one of the worst things to have ever happened in media. I don't know if it's a hot take, but I'm gonna say it. It's the worst, and I don't mean the worst thing like you can't enjoy Marvel, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying what it did for the industries. Because the same thing happened with MMOs. World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft was so good that it ruined the industry. Everyone was trying to be World of Warcraft. The MCU was so good and made so much money that everyone wants their own MCU. And what does that do? Shows make universes where there doesn't need to be a universe. I don't like this. I don't want my Walking Dead to be an MCU. I don't. Thoughts on this, though? I'm excited. I'm far, far more excited about this than I am for any of the other spin-offs for what I think are obvious reasons. And I like the vibe they're going for. My biggest worry is this. Because, like, this... I don't know. Like, Daryl staying in France. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, the show already feels kind of... It has interesting aspects, but the vibe still doesn't click for me for some reason. It is much more interesting than Dead City, definitely. I will say that. Because Dead City, I've said this many times before, can we please let Maggie rest? Can we please just let Maggie rest? Poor Maggie. Constantly tied to Negan. You think it'll be Walking Dead Season 12? If you mean like this, like the connected universe thing, I think basically. I don't think they'll call it that. I don't know if this is like... Because I'm still curious who thought of doing the Rick movies. Because that sort of, I think, tips their hand, if you will. So, what I'm thinking is that what they want to do is they want to set up all of these shows and then create a movie where we fight the CRM in the silliest fashion known to man. And I think they want to basically, that would be them cashing out, is what I think it is. Because the fact that they suddenly announced movies is surprising to me. And the fact that they've now just reframed it to be a limited series is weird to me. I think for all intents and purposes, you can't think of it as Season 12, yeah. I'm keeping up with the Daryl show. Episode 5 was easily the best one. It's not even close. But man, do I feel like it's weird. It's better than Dead City. It's a lot better than Dead City. I don't vibe with it. And I honestly don't know what it is. Because, like, I think back to... I constantly keep comparing, like, Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead, and The Last of Us. These are the three things that are tied together in my mind. And this will make sense, I promise, right? So Game of Thrones ended, and I was like, I'm done. I'm done. Like, unless this is made 100% by George R.R. Martin, I don't care about anything you do, right? And we knew that there were, like... I still think there are, like, 5 different spin-offs in the works at HBO, but I was like, I'm done. I don't want this anymore. And then House of the Dragon started, and I went into it, like, super, like, standoffish, but I immediately got pulled in. And I was like, you know what? We're back. We're back in business. And you know what I've been doing for, like, the past 2 months? Whenever I go to bed, I put on an episode of Game of Thrones. Well, actually, that's a lie. Not 2 months, because, like, 2 months ago, that was One Piece, so I did that with One Piece. I guess it's been a month or so. Time is an illusion, and so is death. You know, let me just throw in an Avatar quote in there. But yes, I've been rewatching Game of Thrones again. I am 100% back into Game of Thrones, and the ending has sort of left my mind. It ended horribly, we move on. Now it's House of the Dragon time, right? And then The Last of Us came out, and The Last of Us was just a banger all the way through. We'll see what happens with Part 2. I think Part 2 might actually be improved through a show. We'll see about that. But The Last of Us, peak, right? So this isn't zombie fatigue. This isn't like genre fatigue. This isn't like survival fatigue. It's not that. But then, when it comes to The Walking Dead, I watch these things, and they just don't click. And I don't know what it is. The Daryl show is good, but it's not The Walking Dead prime good. I'll say that. It's better than Dead City, though. Especially now that I'm rereading the comics again, and we get to see Maggie's story. It's like, it's so much better. It's so much better. In other news, there's Invincible Season 2 coming, and this poster is really, really cool. I'm just gonna switch gears real quick. You know, Walking Dead, Invincible is written by Robert Kirkman. It's perfect. Go watch Invincible. Invincible is really, really, really good.